Hello, welcome to another episode of Cloud Unplugged. We have quite a lot of stories. I'm hoping we can get through these today. We've got a bit wild on how many we've got, but we have
a busy week.
It has been a busy week. We have the 6.5 billion acquisition by OpenAI of the startup IO, Jony Ives. We've got Google VEO new video editing software. You can now be a filmmaker. Lots of deepfakes probably coming your way. We've got the Google Try-On service, which you can use for Google Search Labs for trying on clothes, never leaving your house. And we've got weather prediction model by Microsoft, which is Aurora AI. And we have insectophobia by certain plants where they favor specific insects to produce more nectar due to like the frequency of the wavelengths of the sound waves, I guess, from bees. So, Lewis, how was your weekend before we get into the news? Good one?
It was good, yes. It was a bank holiday and it didn't rain the whole time, which is good. I got a book.
You got a book?
I got a book that was very, very, I don't know. I was very excited growing up reading this book.
The Future.
The Future, yeah.
Just the Future?
Yeah, it was published in 1979.
By who?
Who's it by? It's Osborne, so it's by a collection of their authors. But it's just so well illustrated and has so many exciting sort of future things that I don't know, some of them are like very sort of old-fashioned feeling now. And some of them are, it's talking about wave power and, energy from space and moon and stuff. I don't know. I loved it growing up. Things like that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So it's just been republished, so you can now get hold of it. I had it as a pamphlet, sort of paperback, big sort of A4 paperback, A3 paperback, and it kind of fell apart and was held together by sellotape. So I was very excited to find that you could get it online.
Did you read it again, or have you purchased it?
I've been dipping into it. It's great. It really brings back lots of memories. It's cool.
And
Book of the Future.
Do you think Osborne was from the future? Is that what we're taking from the book because he knew too much?
No, it's a publisher, Osborne, but it was.
Published
in 1979. Was he from the future?
As in, did the things come true?
So, there's a whole lot that is on the radar and taught more, but no, it was crazy. I don't know, crazily optimistic on timelines, as these things often are.
Interesting.
But other things crazily backward, like a depiction of computers and handheld devices. It's like, it was way smaller and way more useful than that proddy thing with big levers and buttons on it.
Did it talk about the cloud?
No.
Did it talk about AI?
Not really. Yeah, well, there is a bit, but it's sort of far, far future, like the next 100 or 1,000 years hence from here.
Did it talk about Deliveroo and Uber Eats?
No. All right, let's move on.
Not from the future. Not from the future. Ruled him out. They're my three big questions. That's how I know you're from the future. Very, yeah. So, what do you think about the acquisition, the Jony Ives organization, IO, which was obviously focused on trying to reimagine devices that are AI native, and it's been acquired for $6.5 billion. But they already had a certain stake in it already. But what do you think? What do you think it all means?
I think Jony Ive obviously has a lot of credibility in coming up with new form factors and rethinking existing computing devices with the iPod. I remember traveling with an iPod, the one with the swirly,
Yeah.
chromy hard drive on the back, the very first one. And that was just mad to take all the music with me on a travel around the world in 2003. But I don't know. There's been a whole lot of failed attempts in this very space. Humane, not the Humane we were talking about with the Saudi government, a different made a thing called the AI pin, which completely crashed and burned. You know, it's a thing that you wore on your lapel and could project things onto your hand, and you could talk to, and it kind of had an AI first.
Was this in the book?
System. No, no, this is a device that was released last year, and another one, the Rabbit R1, which might have been crowdfunded, but it completely.
I definitely think the Rabbit is a different product. I think you might be getting a bit. I do believe you are really mixing.
So, John, I just realised I didn't ask what you did at your weekend. Just trying to change the conversation.
Yeah, I think the Rabbit R1 might have been a different.
No, it's a real.
It's a real and what did it do, Lewis? The Rabbit R1.
It was kind of a screen with a thumb wheel, and you could quickly go through really simple AI sort of options, and then you could talk to it, and then it would do the response based on the bit sheet you had landed on. So it was trying to simplify the ask so that it had a chance.
What would it say?
I
can't vibrate anymore. I'm at capacity. Stop.
Some people. They're just
okay. Moving on. Get the hint, right? Yeah.
So, what do you think about it, John? What do you think
I thought you would never.
That's not. It's like your weekend.
I think it's quite interesting because at the moment, OpenAI is, primarily focusing on, software and added value add on the services, generating images, interactions, having conversations, vibing, not on devices. So they're not like really trying to push and revolutionize on the hardware space or device space or personal, even like more consumer-led things. So I find that quite interesting that they seem to be wanting to get into the device space. And that's then going to be quite a big competitor to Apple and alike, I imagine, like watches and phones and things like that. So they're obviously making moves and getting Jony Ives really then entering a competitive field against Apple in some ways is kind of interesting, given Jony Ive's background. Obviously, he was the head designer for Apple and produced obviously lots of Apple products, like you've said. And what they're going to reimagine, because obviously the startup was already trying to pick at this problem. What does the future look like for devices when it's all AI driven? How do you interact?
I think that's the $50,000 bazillion question, and Google Android XR imagining glasses, so they're unobtrusive on the one hand, that you just wear them, and then you can speak to them, and they have microphone and speakers and a heads-up display, so you can see the response. And it's kind of like very much for imagining the existing, like.
But again, I think that's
into something on your face.
Yeah, I think that's a little. I don't know. It seems not necessarily. I don't know. I feel like obviously every iterative phase, even the thing you're saying about pin and the rabbit, I think any progression is healthy progression. It gets you to the right thing in the end. Like, you've got to have failure to get to the success, I guess, essentially, right? Everything's iterative. But I guess there's what are people's habits already, and putting on some glasses is not, unless you wear glasses, is not really, I don't think, quite hitting the mark. I don't think you don't really want to put glasses on. Everything's very convenience led, isn't it? And accessibility led. And you want to be able to like quickly interact, even taking a phone out your pocket, and and then unlocking it using your face or your thumb, and then doing the action. There's a lot of steps. And I guess if you've got some way of interacting with the device, whatever that is.
Have you seen the movie Her?
Yeah, it's like everywhere though, isn't it, Her?
Well, it's basically built into an earpiece. So
was it an earpiece?
But actually, you're right. He had it in a watch pendant, and he had it in an earpiece, and he had it. So you could basically pick up and carry on from where you left off on almost
walk around and talk, be
any
in bed
device,
talking, showering, talking, and doing.
Yeah, so he had it in his home like an Alexa, and then he'd have it on an earpiece when he's walking around, and it was seamless, the transition between the thing and where it was. It's almost like the device isn't really the thing, it's the service, but having devices that just keyed in to automatically be as part of that service. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be fascinating to see what Jony Ive comes up with. And if it's one device, many devices, add-ons, who knows?
Yeah, because I know that Apple are releasing Home, the Apple Home. So they're competing obviously on the home side now, but obviously very intertwined with all your Apple devices. But I think we're in such a, from a manufacturing perspective, everyone's got so many different devices. Your TV could be an LG or whatever, or Sony. Your watch might be a Garmin. Your device that you're working from might be a MacBook. Your phone might be a Pixel. So, and obviously they don't want that. They want everything to be all one brand. But the reality is, the probability that's very slim. People will choose whatever the right thing is. So I think I guess I'm intrigued to know where they're going to begin. Do you know what I mean? Like, where's the starting point? What is the device that they're aiming for? That's the bit I'm super interested in. I think I'm really excited about things, but because it's going to be so new and it's quite blue sky thinking and very creative, and they get to think outside the box and it's undefined, that I think is going to be super interesting.
Apparently, it's a problem that Jony Ive's company IO has been picking at for a while, but there's been no announcements on hardware. So everything to play for. No news though.
6.5 billion. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is news. That's a very big amount of news.
Yeah.
Should weigh that. Yeah, that's quite newsy.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just news from the future. But anyway, so Google VEO 3, which is obviously for people listening, is a way for basically producing videos, and you don't need to you just prompt your way through the creation of a video, but you can also you're looking confused, Lewis.
I am, because if we were prompted, would we be under a Cloud Unplugged logo and doing this every now and then? I mean, why would someone prompt me to do this? It's as if we must be prompted, but I don't believe it. This meme is not real. I don't believe that prompting. Have you seen the meme I'm referring to very badly? And you're missing.
No, I've no idea what you're literally.
So there's thousands of videos where people have put actors in pretend fake people in crazy situations, and they're all reading from the they're all saying, but apparently I'm just generated and this is just the result of a prompt. But I don't believe it. It's not true. So they've got the video content to comment on VEO and the fact that prompts are this real, by sort of having an existential crisis as an actor that doesn't exist. So that's. But
they were they actually actors?
No, they were fake.
I know. Sorry, I mean, were they actually though based on real actors?
No, they're all pretend
made up
people.
Actors, so they're not real people, basically.
No, but they're all having an existential crisis about the fact that they don't believe that they're not real.
A bit like what's it called? Westworld style.
Yeah, a bit like that. They're all sort of. But I'm not. I am a robot. AI. I'm not a robot. I mean, yeah.
So I guess, does VEO 3 change the video editing game somewhat? Do you think it's major milestone on filmmaking?
I think it's
I think it's
Probably
gimmicky for
similar.
people like
I
you
think,
and I to do
yeah,
really simple.
I don't think the dust has settled. There's people I know who work in the industry, and it'd be fascinating to have their opinion of like, okay, for particular corporate videos or whatever, it could probably do quite a lot of that, I would imagine. Follow a script, have an avatar that's generated on the fly, doing the thing, reading it out. You give it pictures as context as well, so you could give it like corporate logos and t-shirts and say get on with that. So I don't know. I think there's a niche, but I think high end. But I don't know. People are producing whole cartoons and whole videos with FX and things, and they're prompting all the bits together. But I have a feel that there's going to be uncanny valley where people think, yeah, it's good, but there's something wooden or not right or not
Mm.
as good as what a real set of human producers, actors, VFX. I don't know. There's a great video on the VFX industry by Industrial Light and Magic on the Disney Channel about the history of all of this and in the context of AI. So there's a little video short on it where they're commenting on actually the latest innovation just makes them better at their job, and it means they can do storyboarding really quickly and explore 15 different angles on video ideas before then drilling into like getting the humans involved and doing it properly. So I don't know. I think for ideation, yeah, you probably don't need to draw so many wooden sort of cartoons. You can just generate the video in the first take and then go from there. But yeah,
Yeah.
interesting times. I think the fake news angle is more of the worry, though.
Well, yeah, I think they were saying because like if Google VO3 is an enabler for basically faking content, like what stops people now going to town on actors and stuff? But they were saying that they had put basically ways of preventing people stealing identities, but actually kind of haven't. It's just that they've got filters and policies on just well-known actors. So if you're not well-known,
I should clone you.
you should basically clone. Or it could almost be about where you rank in the celebrity, sphere.
Yeah.
Are you A, B, C? Because the minute you start to be cloned, then you're like, well, I'm obviously not famous enough for their filter. So it's like there's gonna be a lot of celebrities probably a bit offended by the fact that they weren't
Yeah.
prevented to be cloned.
Copying is the best form of flattery, and if
Exactly,
you're
or
not being
maybe not
flattered at
in this
all, and
case. Yeah, maybe not in this case because you're not known well enough.
there's a bunch of video content showing news reporters reporting on fake news, but they're not clones of real anchors. They're just kind of fake news reporters, but they're so convincingly real. And they're reading out the news about cats have sort of taken over the I don't know, the Vatican and stuff. And it's just I don't know. But then when it's on the edge of like nearly real and not such an audacious claim, just a bit audacious, then what could you get Trump to say? Quite convincingly, like
well,
almost
yeah,
anything.
exactly. So I think if you're prompting, I think if you use words, if you're saying, you're prompting saying Donald Trump, obviously it knows then to filter that out. But I think if you were to give it, unless it's got image recognition, it can and detecting because you're famous enough. But if it wasn't, and you gave an image of somebody and you told it like this is a different named person, and then you then started getting to prompt, can you prompt person X to say this stuff? Then obviously it would work. The speech thing as well, it can't clone voices, so it doesn't have any way of like doing the voiceover, but you can obviously connect in to other tools to do that. You don't necessarily need to use their their tool essentially to do that. So you could easily go and do the cloning of the voice with OpenAI or other technologies. So you probably fundamentally you could clone someone quite easily, really.
I guess there's the what Google put around as constraints, censorship. I don't know, or fake news. Like, who knows? There's a funny line, but if they can do it, then at some point soon there will be models that are democratized and are cheaper and can be run by most people with less compute that can do very similar things. So interesting times.
I'm just wondering. I don't know if there's it'd be interesting to know if you can't replace actors, which they're saying they're not really necessarily trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then is there a market of creating video content with fake people that aren't really real actors? Like, I think to some degree, a lot of what we get stimulation by is the quality of somebody acting a role and all the unsaid things as much as the said things.
Absolutely.
And the understanding of like the setting or when they walk into the room and
Mm-hmm.
you know the dynamism between two individuals and recreating that. I don't know if there'll be a market for people wanting to watch something that isn't any of that is really just very much, you know, matter of fact. Here's a script, read it out.
I agree.
And just don't know, not sold on that.
You need nuance and
you do, yeah. You need the human
subtlety, and a human
relatability.
Ability to read faces means it will probably stay in the uncanny valley. Sort of, it's right physically, and I can't put my finger on what's wrong, but it's wrong.
Yeah, it's just
don't like it.
It's unrelatable,
it's just flat. Yeah. I don't know. It's like you watch some of the videos though, and in the context of a simple newsreader trying to be expressionless at their job and trying to be factual and just straight and wooden, it's like it does that really well. But anyway,
but yeah, we can't use it anyway because it's not in the UK. So
I know.
You need to be in the US. So
actually, I used a VPN, and you're not really here, and that's that.
Wow. So you did use a VPN, did you?
No, I didn't. I was thinking about it.
I'm going to say because your account will be registered. I don't think it's the location. Yeah. Anyway, something I know you are very excited about, so I'm quite pleased about this subject because you've not stopped going on about it, and is, you know, not having to leave your house and trying on clothes. Now,
that is my thing.
You really do love shopping.
I just love it.
Just love it. Always trying things on.
Mainly online as well.
Well, this is now the service for you. So I think now actually with Google Try On, basically you just upload a picture of yourself, Lewis, preferably in something quite tight. And you know, because I need to see your physique.
Yes.
Yeah. So latex might be a bit too far. So maybe, but something, you know, sensible.
Yeah.
And then it can basically, if you see you upload it onto the Google app.
Is this called Google Fit?
No,
Google Try On.
It's called the Try On is the feature, but I think it's under Google Search Labs. Where you'll find
you enable it,
yeah, and then you basically go and you opt in, and then once you've opted in, you then have to upload your photo of yourself, which I know you've probably done already. But full body obviously would be preferred, especially if you want to try shoes on, which I imagine you would. And once that's done, you'd be shopping away for your outfits, and then you'll see, you know, do you want to try it on? You're like, yeah, I do actually. Click on the try on, and then, you know, as if by magic I think it's actually does take a bit of time. It's not like an instant thing. It then generates, you know, an image of you with the clothes on. So you can see, like, how do I look? How do I feel? Like, you don't know how you feel, obviously. You know how you feel looking at a picture of yourself in an outfit. You don't really know how you feel with the outfit on, but, you know, that's not here nor there. But
I've got to say, you know me well. Like,
I
shopping
do.
is my thing.
And how's it going?
Yes, I am being subtly sarcastic, but I do like t-shirts, and I do like to get them online. And sometimes you can't really read the XLs from the larges and the XXLs because they're all a little bit screwy, and they kind of have a conversion chart, but depending where you buy them, it's a bit. So I don't know.
Well, they've got the model, So they've
I could try
trained
it
a
on.
model on all of the different sizes.
I could just try on the different sizes, and I'll be
And
able
it's
to
called
see if it's like,
a diffusion model.
or
Yeah. Lewis is stretching his t-shirt into
so
different
diffusion
shapes.
is just a different thing from predict the next token. It's kind of imagine everything all at once. So
Well, it's
generative,
denoising, isn't it? Denoising
yeah,
process, basically. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one part of the AI model comes up with random noise, and the other part detects how close it is to the prompt, and then it goes on back and forth, generate diffusing outer. So it's almost imagination for AIs. So
Yeah. So
imagine you in weird outfits. It's going to be a thing. So it does. I suppose there's nothing to tell it who I am. So the thing I upload as the picture to fit against could be you, for instance, or anyone. So,
but in
bit
this
dodgy.
case, it's obviously got a starting image.
Yeah,
And then obviously the process
which
is
the user provides, right?
yeah. So
So your user provides anyone and says, "I'd like to see them in
different outfits.
different crazy attire."
Yeah. I suppose actually that's not a bad, shout if you had a partner and
You wanted
you
to buy
weren't
for them,
you want to
yes.
buy for them and you're not really
Ah,
sure on, I don't know how it does the sizing matching, if it can even do that. I doubt very much, but yeah,
get a
kind of
gist.
interesting. But yeah, if you want to go shopping online and see how you look, then you just basically just don't leave your house, basically. And once we've got the new devices from the new OpenAI start with Jony Ives,
Then
that's
that's
it.
it. That's
No
it.
need to
You just
leave. It
stay there.
is literally like Her, the movie, but
It's
trying on
getting there.
clothes.
One
And
thing at a time, but
yeah.
now the trying on clothes is definitely part of it.
So do you want to talk through Microsoft's Aurora AI, the weather predictor, and what your views are on it? And
Yeah, I can give a quick overview of what it is, and then you can wade in to see if you've got any opinion. So, Aurora AI was published by Microsoft Research in the journal Nature, and they were comparing and contrasting its ability to predict the weather and both near term and future, and also pollutants. So it's quite a capable AI because it's been shown. Well, they showed as part of their research that it was more capable than other models, interestingly, but also physics based simulations that massive massive compute is already going towards. We touched on this story with talking about Google's Weather Next earlier
no,
in the season, I think.
it wasn't. It was Cambridge's aardvark model
Ah,
that
I
was
may have
basically
mentioned the
trained.
Google's one at the same
But
time. But yeah.
I believe Microsoft had funded Cambridge for
Ah,
that model, and now they've released Aurora. So I've got a funny feeling Aurora is actually really aardvark. That's my
oh,
hunch, but it
yeah,
might
it
not
could be.
be.
Yeah.
I could be just making that up, but it does feel a bit. It does feel like maybe that's what's happened there. They invested in Cambridge to produce this, and then it's become
I
mainstream.
think the fascinating thing is the model size. It's a 1.3 billion parameters, which sounds like, oh my God, billions of parameters, because this is the geeky thing in the sizes of AIs, effectively. But 1.3 is tiny and could run on a phone. The foundational models that you use when you talk to OpenAI or ChatGPT or whatever are getting into the hundreds of billions and nearing on trillions real soon. That's like they're getting crazy, crazy big. And they wouldn't run on your phone. They need many, many computers. Indeed, getting models to run on a computer is quite a feat. But this one is 1.3 billion, which is tiny and would run even on a phone, a single device. Obviously, if you want it to project into the future further, it can still do that way quicker than a physics simulation of the whole atmosphere of the Earth. It can predict, it can, understand. It was trained on 3D aware data from both existing climate data and local weather data, as well as physics simulation model data. And then trained specifically to be able to predict for both of those scenarios. So it was pre-trained with all the data, and then as if it was doing a very broad set of courses, and then trained more specifically in for those niche 2 areas. So it could be post-trained on actually giving the right type of response. So it can predict the weather with a lot less grunt than running a physics model, and beats them. So
really actually does beat them, does it? On accuracy?
So on the slightly longer term, so under a day, physics models still reign,
right?
Which is I don't know, maybe it's intensely compute. It costs a lot to generate the weather coming up using
just to clarify, this isn't generating the weather.
No, generating,
just to make sure we're clear here.
Simulating
because that is a very different product at that point. If it is actually generating the weather, I think that is a new progression.
But being able to over one day, so over the next 3 days, get an accurate weather forecast that can affect everything from UK government spend on or military operation or logistics for supermarkets or farming.
I guess it's going to be more farming or renewables and things like that, right? So solar or
but it affects markets fundamentally. It affects people wanting to know the weather is instrumental. And it's interesting how the foundational model research just being published then translates either to notoriety or to back-end commercial sort of.
I've just had I feel like Osborne from your book. I've just had a moment of clarity for the future,
and
we've got Jony Ive's new device. TBD'd what that is, but it's looking at you with the try-on service, seeing what you're wearing, but predicting the weather and knowing you're not wearing the right thing before you've even gone out the house. And it's telling you, why are you wearing that? It's going to rain at 3 o'clock. And you're like, oh my God, thanks so much. I didn't realise it was going to rain at 3 o'clock. I better get a jacket or whatever. That is the future. That's it. All these 3 stories are all going to converge into
what are you wearing and how inappropriate it is.
Basically how inappropriate it is.
There's no such thing as bad weather. There's just bad clothes choice.
Bad planning. Yeah, bad planning.
No.
It is interesting. But we did cover a similar thing before, and I think the same stands. And my hunch is that I think this. I'll have to do a bit of research and find out to see whether this Aurora AI is actually really aardvark. I'm kind of convinced it is, but I might be completely wrong. But
and it'd be interesting to know about the commercial aspect of it and where Microsoft stand or are gaining on that, given that Google's previous models have they've now have a WeatherNext service that moved on from their graph model, so their private service for the weather is now a commercial reality, and people can sign up and use that. That uses a lot less compute. So I don't know who beats on the unpublished model data and who's in the lead on actual weather prediction, who's making the money from it.
That is TBD. Kind of tangentially linked about weather, obviously plants.
Here we go. There's a link.
Did you know, Lewis, that certain plants will produce different amounts of nectar, and they'll favour the bee. So basically, what they've found out, not really related to AI. So whilst elsewhere, like, you know, doing try on, taking pictures of ourselves, seeing what we look like. Meanwhile, in nature, it is selectively choosing, you know, who to prefer through essentially detecting the vibrations and the frequency of the vibrations of specific insects, certain bees,
So
and they've discovered this to be true.
are you telling me that plants can hear bees?
The petals are the ears of the flower. That's what I'm telling you right there. This is the truth. I know. It's hard to believe.
Plants like bees because they can hear them buzzing.
They can hear them. They've got basically mechanoreceptors, that obviously the bits that are picking up the vibrations. And depending on the stimulant of that vibration, it will then basically release certain chemicals, which is calcium ion concentration basically changes. And then that has an inverse reaction then, which activates a specific, I think it's called like a gene expression. But then that then causes the nectar to get released. So it basically produces more based on that. And that's what they've discovered, how it works and what goes on. They've tested it. Yeah.
So it can't. It's so in relation to when there are more bees around, I would imagine, because that pathway doesn't sound like something that would happen. Like, here's a bee's coming. Let's get our nectar on.
Exactly.
It's like there's a few bees or a specific type of bee. Like,
there's a type
that's
of bee,
the right bee.
Yeah.
And then it would start the chain reaction. If it keeps hearing that type of bee, then it would the pollen, because I don't think they can produce pollen. Like, you can't shout at the plant. If it could hear you instead of the bee, you can say, "Give us the nectar then," and it would like.
Well, I could actually. I could say, "Give us it," so long as I knew the frequency.
Oh, I see. If you could say it in B.
If I could say it in B, yeah. So long as I could get the frequency of what I was saying correct, and it was in the right megahertz range, then it would get.
Is it quick then? Is it like, as a takeout?
I don't know. I think they were doing the study on basically snapdragons and a specific bee, and I think it's to do obviously with pollination itself, and it favours a specific type of insect to increase the chances of pollination. And if all the nectar gets, you're attracting all the wrong types of things, and the probability of then pollination reduces. It's basically worked it out. I guess it's like a symbiotic relationship there, where they've kind of figured it out, and it then is highly tuned to the right type of bee, basically. Yeah,
plants can hear. That's all I'm hearing.
I've always said the petals are the ears of a plant. I've always said that. It's something you've probably heard me say a lot on this podcast. I'm never not saying that. So finally the truth's out. Finally. So I'm a bit relieved.
Although I refer to it's because the prompt made you say that. So
yeah. Well, I am going to prompt you, I think. So anyway, that was all of the latest news. We'll be back obviously next week. Are you going to give us an update on the rabbit after you've purchased it, and give us an update in the next episode, Lewis? I
don't want to try the rabbit. I don't want to try it
because people want to know. People want to know.
No, apparently it got really bad reviews. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to know why. I don't want any more of your.
Can you try it on? Will you be able to try on the rabbit? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out and see what you're wearing next week.
I wish I could prompt you off right now.
Okay. Well, we should speak to everybody next week with the latest news as always. Thanks very much.
Excellent. Thanks for having us.